Hello everybody. This will be the last of 4 bonus videos following the release of my Origins Plus video. We'll start by looking at some glitches accessed through boss rush mode, and later, some more glitches, this time through Blue Sphere. But first, some context. Like with every other bonus video in this 4-part series, the topic came up simply from an edit to my original draft of the Origins Plus script. Towards the end of that video, I had a section on the different modes in Origins and how they all differ with the inclusion of Amy. And in boss mode, I noticed something I must have seen countless times before, but hadn't gave it much thought. But Amy has a Sonic CD style life icon, while Origins CD replaces them all with the coin icon. Prior to Plus, that wasn't so significant because only Sonic and Tails were playable in CD, and Tails had his icon from 2011, so the Amy and Knuckles CD-style icons were created just for the Plus DLC, which is nice, but that's not the crazy part. I mentioned all that in the Plus video, but I needed footage to show off these last-minute, minor inclusions. So naturally, I loaded up boss rush mode to record footage. And that's where things got weird. I didn't know what caused it at the time, or even if this was something that anyone else had experienced, but I went in expecting to see the egg spinner boss, and, well, I didn't. So instead of loading up Sonic CD's final boss, I was brought to what looks like an unfinished developer menu. We've got a PNG transparency as our checkerboard background, and distorted letterings spelling out zone names from Sonic 2. Which is strange, cause this is Sonic CD. You can scroll the menu and see some pictures floating in the center. Here's Sonic and Amy, and here's Robotnik. There's some blank squares beside the level names, and what looks to be some distorted letters. I didn't find out until later, but this is actually what's left of the manual from the mobile version of CD. There's nothing you can choose from the screen, but exiting out gives us a neat little surprise. You may recognize this menu if you played the 2011 version of Sonic CD. When it was ported to Origins, this menu was replaced with a classic title screen menu, though you could still see portions of it for the options menu. But it's really cool to see it in its old state, hidden inside of Origins. The first thing I wanted to check out was the achievements section, since those were all absent in Origins. But I quickly found out most of these functions won't work here. The extras are blanked out, despite having them unlocked in the main game. Leaderboards does nothing, and the options are just the spin dash, just like in both Origins and the PS3 CD. The soundtrack option will look familiar, but it actually does change the song here, depending on the region selected. But what's even more intriguing is it also switches out the track on that weird menu. Going to the top to start game, I was hoping to be able to play the actual 2011 version without the Origins adjustments, but sadly, none of those slots will do anything. But there is one other thing we can try. Going into Time Attack, we can see all of the stages are at their default time, and it actually starts up the level we've selected. At the bottom left, you can see the actual present Sonic life icon is there, instead of the Origins coin icon. And losing that life returns us to the menu with this Origin-style overlay. Finishing a level brings on the Act Clear jingle. But no score will display. It'll sit at the screen forever, and you have no inputs or start menu options. Upon restarting, that void of a manual lost its Sonic 2 level text. Going to a time attack boss stage won't freeze like in Act 1 or 2. Instead, it will congratulate you with a boss rush clear message. And it does this for any of the bosses. One thing I wanted to try was to see if the "I'm outta here" would work, assuming this really is the 2011 edition. Unfortunately, that hadn't gone the way I hoped it would. It should be noted that this does work in the 2011 version, even in time attack mode, where it happens at 2 minutes instead of 3. The original game also "I'm outta here's" during the time attack, though at the usual 3 minutes, not 2. Anyway, I guess that proves that despite the 2011 menu being found, there isn't an unaltered 2011 CD buried within Origins. Loading Boss Rush as Knuckles again shows round 7 with the egg spinner, but this time it brings us to the bubble boss. Hitting the boss instantly brings up the Boss Rush clear screen without even showing Eggman's angry defeat. Playing as Tails or Amy worked normal for me, so let's check out Sonic 2. Initially, I thought this would only work with Sonic CD due to that unfinished menu, and loading up Amy in Sonic 2 seemed to confirm this. That is until I tried with Tails. He has a clear save, so it should return us to the final boss. But instead, we have Chemical Plant Zone. You'll notice that he has an actual life counter instead of that coin count, like what's normally in the levels. But strangely, this is set to 0 lives. Gaining a life does indeed count up, so I wanted to see if losing lives would do anything. Okay. Reloading with 0 lives, then losing 1, gets rid of the count altogether, so there's no game overs to be seen in widescreen. Continuing the act and getting near the boss arena, I was surprised to see that there were none of those gray blocks from the boss rush mode. I was thinking I was put into that very same version used for that mode, just at the wrong starting point. But the absence of those blocks seems to tell me otherwise. Defeating the Stage 2 boss wins the whole gauntlet overall. Now let's try Sonic. I didn't think it would do anything special since it's not a cleared save, but continuing on as Sonic puts us in Emerald Hill. It's Act 1, so there's no boss, and clearing it once again freezes up the whole game. I wanted to play around with lives again, so I gained 2, then lost them both. But unlike with Tails, it didn't just keep reloading without a life count. Instead, it had me lose the boss rush. Later on, when I tried again with Sonic, it brought me directly to the level select menu, so now we can go anywhere with anyone, but it doesn't bring you to the start of any act or its appropriate boss arena. Instead, it will put you in an arbitrary spot with some time already passed and a substantial ring count. Here in Aquatic Ruin, we're inside of a ring monitor. Chemical Plant 2 puts us in an inescapable wall. Chemical Plant 1 has us halfway in this tube. And my favorite, Oil Ocean 1 will put us directly on a spike bed. Each reload will start us with 0 rings, so Tails dies instantly before we can even see. And we have no life count again, instead of the boss rush defeat. Lastly, for Sonic 2, Knuckles and Amy seem to have no effect, so onward to Sonic 1. Loading in as Tails initially started me at the beginning of Green Hill Act 1 with 3 lives. As per usual, the sign softlocks the game. And loading Tails again, this time starts us at a save point. We have elapsed time and a high ring count, just like in Sonic 2. Loading Sonic's boss rush save will bring us to the Sonic 1 title screen. Our usual characters are here, but their saves reflect the boss mode saves, not anniversary mode. Loading these will either restart the title screen, or bring us to the appropriate boss. But since this is a mostly normal title screen, we can input our cheat code, bringing us to Sonic 1's level select. Most of these will simply put you at the start of whatever act you choose with the character you choose, just with the limited life count and the boss rush menu flare whenever you lose a life. Going back to the normal boss rush from the main menu, Amy will seem pretty normal, starting us at the proper last boss, but defeating him and selecting retry will loop us back to the Marble Zone boss instead of Green Hill. Last, we have Knuckles, and when I loaded his boss save, it brought me straight to the endgame credits. Now that's gotta count as the quickest speedrun. The music here will not play the way it's meant to in the credit scenes. It loads each level track abruptly as it's shown. Things get weird once we reach Labyrinth Zone. As you can see, Knuckles, for whatever reason, lets go prematurely, sending him into the underwater spikes. I guess he didn't bring any rings with him either. This will reload with the boss rush screens, while still being presented as the endgame credit scene. And since you have no control of the action, this will loop indefinitely. I couldn't find any oddities in the Sonic 3 boss rush, so I guess that's all I have to show. There's no real way to quantify all the weird things you can find with this glitch, so there's probably some things I missed. If you checked it out for yourself, let me know if you found anything that I didn't. But with that said, we're not done with glitches yet. I didn't know about this until after I put my first bonus video out, but there's a couple things to look at in Blue Sphere, so let's go check it out. So the original Get Blue Spheres was included in Origins. Now I say that with quotation marks, because it isn't the actual emulated Mega Drive ROM. It was recreated, likely using Mania's version as the base. It's usually selected from the main menu, but it was also an option from Sonic 3's level select. There's two things unique about selecting OG Blue Spheres from the level select menu. First, you'll see that it's no longer in a 4:3 aspect ratio. And second, we're able to use our coins to retry, like in Anniversary Mode's special stages. This was all well and good for the original Origins release, because selecting Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles before Blue Sphere had no ill effect. But with the inclusion of Amy, that introduced another variable that likely went overlooked. Now, let's see where Amy comes in. The Star Sphere is usually color-coded for your character, blue, orange, and red for Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. And even in New Blue Sphere, there's a pink for Amy. But in this altered Get Blue Spheres, accessed with Amy through level select, our initial Star Spheres are all black. And selecting the default brings us Amy in this remake of the OG Get Blue Spheres, which in itself isn't too crazy, but it's nice that it's possible to play as her where it isn't possible by normal means. But changing that selection is where things get weird. One press gives us a distorted blank character, which I've heard is the remnants of Mighty. So 2 presses should give us a null version of Ray. If you try to jump, the game will freeze. But it is actually possible to complete a level as this ghosted character. 3 or 4 presses on the selection screen will give us solo Sonic, so there's nothing weird there. But 5 presses will give us Sonic with Sonic. Oh no, I feel like it's Generations all over again. 2 Sonics weirds me out, so let's give it 6 presses. Sonic and Tails Duo, perfectly normal. 7th press, Sonic and Knuckles. This is awesome. Finally, the game is true to its namesake. We can get a Sonami with 8 presses, and I'll resist the urge to relate this combo to Sonic Advance 3 again. Didn't work. 9 and 10 give us Sonic with the corrupted character trailing behind us, and jumping once again freezes us. Selections 11 through 20 are all solo Sonic, and the star sphere remains black. But once we get to 21 presses, the colors start to change. And these aren't your basic color options either. Some of these are weird. I like it. These selections continue to be solo Sonic until we hit 30, where we finally find a solo Tails, followed by a solo Knux, then a solo Amy, which resets the selection loop to the default. But our crazy colors on the star sphere continue until button press 39, where it's black once again. I was hoping we could get some other character combinations, like Tails in the lead, or anyone else without being solo. But what I've shown is all I found. And this is a pretty neat way to work your way through all 128,016,000 stages of Blue Sphere. Let me know when you've completed them all. But with Boss Rush glitched and Blue Spheres gotten, that about does it for my Origins deep dives. But I guess I could show you one final way to play. This isn't a glitch, or a secret, or really even a trick. But if you want to play these games with a bit of a different vibe, try turning the music all the way down while leaving the sound effects on. This feels wrong, and it can get pretty eerie when passing some waterfalls. Perfect for that Halloween playthrough. Oh, it's November already, and I haven't even finished September's Final Horizon DLC video, so you can expect that next. But in the meantime, thanks for sticking around, and thanks for watching all 8 of my Origins videos. I think I can finally move on. So I'll see you in the next video.